Islands, part of the Seram archipelago in Indonesia. Here the Moluccan cockatoo will generally inhabit lowland forest, so extended periods of flight is not quite their go-to. Instead, they do have fairly short wings compared to the next species that we will introduce to you shortly, because they do prefer shorter flights, more manoeuvrable in amongst the trees. Another name for this species is the salmon-crested cockatoo. If at any point out here in front of you Vito decides to raise his crest, you will understand exactly where he gets that name from. As on the underside of the crest, he has some nice salmon-coloured feathers as well. Now the salmon-crested cockatoo out in the wild has been suffering just a little bit, partly because of habitat destruction. Deforestation is a big problem, but in addition to this, one issue with this species is the pet trade. Traditionally, people would harvest Moluccan cockatoos from the wild. Luckily now, most of these, particularly those across Europe, are captive born and bred, so it's not as big of an issue as it used to be, but there is still an incredibly strong bird trade out in parts of Southeast Asia, so a lot of these birds are still being harvested from the wild for the local markets. Now you'll notice while Gizmo is out here, he was captive born and bred. He was originally also kept as a pet. It means that his own dialect is somewhat more human-like than most. Also joining us now out in the grandstand, we have Robin, our scarlet macaw, being taught today for us by Lizzie. Now the scarlet macaw is the national bird of Honduras, and it is given its name by those bright red feathers that you can see running from the top of his head and then down into its tail feathers as well. This species is however found across large parts of Central and South America. Now there are 17 different types of macaw out there, and they do all tend to be characterised by this fairly large size relative to a lot of the other parrot species. Generally some incredibly bright coloration as well, which you might think would make them stand out up in amongst the trees, but due to the dappled effect of the sunlight through the leaves, quite often it can actually still help to camouflage them, rather than them being a single colour, which would be more easy to spot.
Coming up the stairs.
And the characteristic of the macaws that you might notice is that he has a bald patch of skin around the eyes. Now this patch of skin is known as the lores, and on many species you will also find a small pattern of teeny tiny feathers around that. Now that tiny pattern of feathers is as distinctive to each individual as our fingerprint is to us, so it can be a really good way of telling individual parrots apart. But to have a nice close look at them, so we can have a good look at their feet for instance, and a good look at their claws. But what you may have noticed as he was showing you his feet is that he had two toes pointing forward and two toes pointing back. Now this arrangement of talons is known as a zygodactyl one. Now that's an awfully big word for a very simple thing. All it means is that they have two toes that point forward and two toes that point back. Now as you can see, we have also been joined out here by our two blue and gold macaws. Also native to South America in the tree up behind you, but because of the zygodactyl arrangement of their toes, they are also very good climbers. In fact, macaws will spend approximately equal parts on the wing and climbing around the trees.
Don't want to come down.
That zygodactyl arrangement is also very good for manipulating objects. As you can tell, Squishy, who is sitting on Hannah's hands at the minute, is actually manipulating a walnut as he sits there and is using that zygodactyl arrangement to hold on to it. Now you may have noticed that while they were flying around initially, Hooligan and Squishy did try and stay together. They were flying wingtip to wingtip. And this is because macaws are monogamous by nature. They do pair up for life, which means that they do like to stay as close to one another as they possibly can. It's not the end of the world though if they do get separated. As I'm sure you can appreciate, parrots are exceptionally loud when they want to be. So if they do happen to get separated, they can usually tell by calling out for each other and find each other once again. Though it doesn't look at the moment